The path is barely visible. It winds beneath twisted apple trees and towering chestnuts, through patches of hazelnut and blackberry, past herbs growing wild in dappled sunlight. Birds move through the canopy overhead. Bees drift between flowers. The air smells of damp earth, fruit, and leaves. At first glance, it looks like a forest. But it isn't. Every tree, every shrub, every plant around you is producing food. And 800 years ago, people across parts of Europe understood how to create places like this. Not orchards, not farms, entire living ecosystems designed to feed generations. The strange part is that many of these systems worked for centuries. Some still exist today, which raises an uncomfortable question. If medieval farmers could build landscapes that produced food year after year with surprisingly little maintenance, why did we stop doing this? When most people imagine medieval farming, they picture endless fields, a peasant bent over grain beneath a gray sky, a simple struggle against hunger. There is some truth in that image, but it leaves out something important. Medieval people were far more dependent on trees than most modern societies can imagine. Wood-heated homes, wood-built houses, wood-made tools, wood-fueled ovens, and blacksmith forges. And trees produced food, a great deal of it. Across Europe, villages often existed beside carefully managed woodland. To modernize, these landscapes can look wild, but archaeological evidence and historical records reveal something different. Many forests were actively managed, not cleared, managed. Layers of useful species were encouraged to grow together. Fruit trees rose above berry bushes. Nut trees shared space with grazing animals. Medicinal herbs grew beneath them. Dead wood enriched the soil. Leaf litter held moisture even during dry summers. The result was a landscape that fed people while behaving like a natural forest. Today we call this idea permaculture, a food-producing ecosystem. But medieval communities were practicing versions of it long before the word existed. And this was only the beginning. Grain was essential, but grain came with a weakness. Every harvest removed nutrients from the soil. Every year required labor, plowing, sowing, weeding, harvesting, again and again. A bad season could destroy months of work. Heavy rain could flatten crops. Drought could shrivel them. An early frost could ruin everything. But trees played by different rules. Once established, a chestnut tree could produce food for decades. An apple tree might outlive the farmer who planted it. Hazelnuts returned year after year. Berry bushes spread naturally. Their roots reached deep underground, accessing water long after surface soil had dried. While annual crops struggled through dry periods, trees often continued growing. Medieval communities understood this resilience. Many weren't trying to maximize production. They were building security. Food forests acted like living savings accounts, not always spectacular, but reliable. And in uncertain times, reliability could mean survival. What makes these systems fascinating is that they didn't rely on a single crop. Modern agriculture often simplifies landscapes. One field, one crop, one harvest. Food forests worked differently. Imagine looking upward. The tallest layer might contain chestnut, walnut, or oak. Below them stood fruit trees. Beneath those grew shrubs loaded with berries. Near the ground, herbs, edible greens, and medicinal plants spread through filtered sunlight. Animals moved through the system as well. Pigs foraged among fallen nuts. Chickens scratched through leaf litter. Bees pollinated flowers. Nothing existed in isolation. Each layer supported the others. Leaves became mulch. Mulch retained moisture. Moisture supported microorganisms. Microorganisms enriched the soil. The system slowly improved itself. Not because medieval people understood ecology in modern scientific terms, but because centuries of observation had taught them what worked and what didn't. If there was a superstar of medieval food forests, it may have been the chestnut. Today, many people think of chestnuts as a seasonal snack. In parts of medieval Europe, they were far more important. Entire communities depended on them. A mature chestnut tree could produce enormous quantities of food. The nuts could be dried, stored, ground into flour, used in bread, added to stews, fed to livestock. Travelers described regions where chestnuts were so abundant that they formed the foundation of local diets. Unlike grain fields, these trees did not need annual plowing. They held soil in place, protected hillsides from erosion, produced food year after year. In some regions, chestnut groves were carefully managed for centuries. Generation after generation inherited landscapes planted by ancestors they never met. The farmers who planted them knew they might never see the system reach its full potential. Yet they planted anyway. That long-term thinking is difficult to imagine in a world obsessed with quarterly profits and annual yields. But medieval communities often had no choice. They were building for descendants, not investors. The most important part of a food forest is also the easiest to miss. You rarely see it. Beneath your feet lies a layer of decomposing leaves, twigs, fungi, insects, and microorganisms. A living skin covering the soil. Walk through an old woodland and you'll feel it. The ground is soft, springy, cool even on hot days. It smells rich and earthy. This layer performs a remarkable function. It captures water. Instead of rain rushing away across bare soil, moisture sinks into the ground, stored, protected, released slowly over time. Modern researchers studying forest ecosystems continue to observe how effectively these environments regulate water and support soil health. In many ways, medieval farmers were benefiting from ecological processes they could not fully explain. Yet they understood the results. Healthier trees, more reliable harvests, greater resilience. And resilience mattered more than maximum output, especially when the climate turned against them. The medieval world was not stable. Harvests failed, storms arrived, cold years returned unexpectedly. Later centuries would experience periods of worsening climate known today as part of the Little Ice Age. Communities that depended entirely on annual crops often faced serious risks. But diversified food landscapes offered protection. If one crop failed, another might survive. If grain yields dropped, nuts could still be harvested. If frost damaged fruit blossoms, woodland resources remained available. Food forests functioned as ecological insurance. Not perfect, not invincible, but remarkably adaptable. And adaptability may be one reason similar systems persisted for so long. The real mystery is not why medieval people used them. The real mystery is why so many disappeared. The answer was not a single event. It was centuries of transformation. Population growth increased pressure on land. States demanded more taxable agricultural output. Markets expanded. Large-scale farming became increasingly attractive. Woodlands were cleared. Fields expanded. Agriculture became more specialized. Over time, many multifunctional landscapes were replaced by systems designed to maximize production of a few valuable crops. Those systems often produced more food in the short term, but they also required greater inputs, more labor, more disturbance, more dependence on favorable conditions. The old food forests slowly faded from memory, not because they failed, because society changed around them. Efficiency replaced resilience. and for a long time, that seemed like a reasonable trade. Today, fragments remain: ancient orchard meadows, centuries-old chestnut groves, hedgerows that once connected larger woodland systems. Researchers, ecologists, and permaculture practitioners increasingly study these landscapes, searching for clues hidden in their design. Not because medieval people possessed secret knowledge. They didn't. But they observed nature closely. Closer, perhaps, than most people do today. They learned that productive systems do not always require constant control. Sometimes the most durable solution is not to fight an ecosystem. It is to work with one, and that may be the most surprising lesson of all. Because if you stand quietly in one of these surviving food forests, listening to wind move through leaves planted generations ago, the place doesn't feel ancient. It feels strangely modern. As though the people who built it understood a question we are only beginning to ask again. How do you create abundance that lasts longer than a lifetime? The trees are still there, waiting in the silence, offering the same answer they have for centuries.